supposed to know what you wanted. Maybe not exactly, but you had a sense. There was a direction you were heading. And even if you didn't have every detail figured out, you had the rough shape of where your life was going. And then, at some point, you lost it. Not dramatically, quietly. The direction faded out. The shape became unclear. You kept doing the work in front of you, but you couldn't have told anybody what you were working toward anymore. The compass that used to point at something started spinning, and you didn't know how to make it stop. Here's the truth. Lost direction is one of the most common conditions among adults in their 30s, 40s, and beyond. And almost nobody talks about it because nobody knows what to do about it. You're supposed to have it figured out by now. Admitting you don't would feel like admitting you failed at something basic. So most people just keep going in whatever direction they were already heading, hoping it'll start feeling meaningful again. You see, the direction you lost isn't gone. It's just buried under 30 years of inputs, other people's voices, cultural shoulds, family expectations, professional pressures. Underneath all of that, you still know what you actually want. You just haven't been able to hear it because the noise has been too loud. Today, I want to walk you through a 30-day reset. You must run if you've lost your direction. 3 phases of 10 days each. None of them require you to figure out the answer cognitively. All of them are designed to clear the noise enough that the answer you've been carrying inside you finally becomes audible. By day 30, you'll have direction again, not somebody else's. Yours. Listen, this is going to feel strange at first. You've been operating without direction for so long that the absence has started to feel normal. The work of the next 30 days is to remember what direction feels like. To remember that your life can have a forward-pointing arrow on it, instead of being a collection of activities you do because you've always done them. That arrow exists underneath everything. The 30 days are how you find it again. Now, before we get into the plan, you must understand what lost direction is doing to you while it continues. Because most people, when they've lost direction, just keep working. They keep showing up. They keep doing the things they were doing. They think the work itself will eventually produce the direction. It won't. Here's the truth. Work done without direction is exhausting in a way that work done with direction isn't. The same hours, the same effort, the same activities, when they're connected to a clear direction, they feel meaningful. When the direction is gone, the same activities feel pointless, no matter how productive you're being. The exhaustion isn't about the work. It's about the absence of the thing that would have made the work matter. You see, every year you spend without direction is a year of compounding exhaustion. Not the kind you can fix with a vacation. The kind that sits in the background of your life and makes everything heavier than it should be. And after enough years of that compounding, you stop expecting anything to feel meaningful. You start operating on autopilot. You forget what it felt like to be working towards something. The autopilot becomes your new normal, and the normal feels like a kind of low-grade death. And here's what most people don't realize. The longer you go without direction, the harder it gets to recover it. Because the muscle of listening to your own signals atrophies. You stop being able to tell what you actually want because you've spent so long ignoring the question. You ask yourself what you want and you genuinely don't know. The not knowing is the result of years of not asking. You must reckon with this clearly. The cost of lost direction is not abstract. It is measured in the dimming of your engagement with your own life. Year after year, the lights go down a little. The colors get muted. The future stops feeling like it has weight because you haven't been able to say what you're moving toward. You must accept that nobody else can give you the direction back. They can offer suggestions, they can share what worked for them, but the direction has to be yours. It has to come from inside you. And the only way to get it back is to clear enough noise that you can hear yourself again. 30 days, 3 phases, quiet, deliberate work. By the end, you'll know what direction is yours to move in. The compass will steady. And the rest of your life can start moving again. Days 1 through 10, the first phase of the reset is about clearing noise, not adding anything. Removing inputs, because the reason you can't hear your own direction is that there are too many other voices in your head, drowning out the quieter signal that's actually yours. You see, most adults have been collecting inputs for decades. The news they read daily, the opinions they read, the advice from books and seminars and recordings, the expectations from family, the pressures from work, the comparisons to people they observe. All of those have been pouring into their heads every single day for years. And the cumulative volume has gotten loud enough that the person's own voice has been buried underneath it. Here's the truth. You cannot hear yourself in a loud room, and the room of your mind has been getting louder for 30 years. The first thing you must do before any direction can emerge is turn the volume down. Not all at once, not forever. But for 10 days, intentionally, you remove as much of the input as you can. For the first 10 days, no news, no opinion articles, no motivational material, no advice books, no talks about how to live, no conversations where you're asking people what they think you should do. You stop taking in anything that's telling you who you should be or what you should want. The reduction creates space. The space is what allows your own signal to start coming through. This is going to feel strange. You're going to feel like you're missing out. You're going to feel disconnected from the conversations happening around you. That feeling is the noise resisting being turned down. Stay with it. The noise has been comfortable for so long that its absence will feel unfamiliar. The unfamiliar is exactly what you need. You got to replace the noise with something quieter, not with more noise of a different kind. You must sit quietly with one question, twice a day, 10 minutes each time. The question is, what do I actually want? Not what should I want? Not what would be reasonable to want. What do I actually want? You don't have to answer the question. You just have to sit with it, twice a day, 10 minutes. The first few days, nothing will come. You'll sit with the question and your mind will produce nothing useful. Or it'll produce old shoulds, voices of your parents, social expectations dressed up as your own thoughts. That's normal. You're peeling layers. The first layers are not your own voice. Those are the layers of noise that have been sitting on top of your voice for years. They have to be heard and set aside before the actual signal can come through. On day 3 or 4, you might catch yourself reaching for the news or the inputs or the comfortable distraction that you've been told you need. Resist. The reaching is the muscle of distraction trying to reassert itself. Each time you don't follow it, the muscle of stillness gets slightly stronger. And the stillness is what direction grows in. Every single day in this phase, you also do something physical, not as a workout, not as a self-improvement project, just movement that doesn't require you to think. A walk, a swim, a bike ride, something where your body is engaged, but your mind is free. You have to move your body. Movement without the input of media or other voices is one of the best conditions for your own thoughts to start surfacing. By day 5 or 6, you'll start to notice something. The internal volume has dropped. The mental traffic that's usually running at high speed has quieted down. You might feel restless or bored or vaguely anxious. That's the system adjusting to the lower input level. Don't fight it. Let it happen. The discomfort is information that the reset is working. Around day 7, something else starts to happen. Small thoughts begin to surface that you have not had room for in a long time. Old curiosities, forgotten interests, quiet preferences. They're not directions yet. They're just little signals. You note them. You don't act on them yet. You just notice that they're there. By day 10, you've created the conditions for your own voice to be heard. You're not done yet. You don't have direction yet, but you've cleared enough noise that direction has room to emerge. The first phase is done. You're ready for the second. But here's what most people get wrong. They want to skip this phase. They want to go straight to figuring out the direction. They want answers fast. But the figuring out, attempted before the noise has cleared, produces the same recycled non-answers it always has. You have to clear the noise first. Then the direction has room to emerge. Then the answers start to come, not from forcing, but from listening. Trust the process for these first 10 days. Don't try to do more than the protocol asks. Don't try to add your own techniques to it. Just remove the inputs, sit with the question twice a day, move your body every single day, and wait. The wait is doing more than it seems to be doing. By the end of day 10, you'll feel it. The internal space will be unmistakably larger than it was when you started. Days 11 through 20. The second phase is about listening for what's underneath. The noise has been cleared. The internal space is larger. You must now start paying attention to what's actually there. You see, after 10 days of reduced input, signals you've been missing for years start to become audible. Things you're drawn to, things that energize you, things that drain you, people you want to spend more time with, activities you've been quietly avoiding. Topics that keep coming back to your mind, even when you weren't trying to think about them. All of those signals have been there. You just couldn't hear them through the noise. Here's the truth. Your direction is usually not hidden. It's usually right under your nose. It's the thing you've been drawn to repeatedly, that you've been dismissing as not serious or not practical or not important enough. The drawing has been the signal. You've been ignoring it because the noise told you to ignore it. With the noise cleared, you can finally pay attention to what the drawing was always telling you. Let me tell you about a man I once knew. He was 42 when he hit a wall of lost direction. By every external measure, he was successful. A director-level role at a company he'd been with for 15 years. A decent income, a stable family. By any normal accounting, he had everything he had been working toward, and he couldn't tell you what he was working toward anymore. He had tried to figure it out the way most people do. He read books about purpose. He took online assessments. He asked his friends what they thought he should do. He listed his strengths. He listed his interests. None of it landed. The exercises produced lists, but the lists didn't produce direction. He felt more confused after the exercises than before. He came to me exhausted by his own attempts. I told him to do something different for 30 days. No more reading about purpose. No more assessments. No more asking other people. Just clear the noise for 10 days, then listen for 10 days, then commit to one small thing for 10 days. He looked skeptical, but he agreed to try because nothing else had worked. The first 10 days were hard. He missed the inputs. He felt cut off. He kept reaching for the comfort of being told what to do, and he kept having to pull his hand back. By day 8, he was bored. By day 10, the boredom had given way to something quieter, a kind of stillness he had not felt in a decade. On day 11, he started listening. And the first thing he noticed was small. He had picked up his guitar 3 evenings in a row, almost without thinking. He hadn't played seriously in years. But during this quiet period, his hands kept finding the guitar. He noted it. He didn't make it mean anything yet. On day 14, he noticed something else. He had felt most alive that week during a meeting where he'd been helping a junior person on his team figure out a project they were stuck on. The meeting was 15 minutes. He had thought about it for hours afterward. The teaching had energized him in a way nothing else that week had. He kept noticing. On day 16, he caught himself volunteering to help another colleague work through a problem, even though he had no obligation to. On day 18, he noticed that he scanned his calendar each morning for the appointments where he would be developing somebody. And those were the only ones he looked forward to. By day 20, the pattern was unmistakable. He was drawn every time to the parts of his work where he was teaching, developing, helping somebody else grow. He had been drawn to those parts for years. He had not made it the center of his work because nobody had told him to, and the noise of his career expectations had been louder than the signal of his own preference. He told me later the direction was right under my nose for 15 years. I just couldn't hear it because I was so busy chasing what I was supposed to want. Once the chasing stopped, the actual signal became obvious. And the obvious thing was that I was a developer of people, dressed up as a manager of projects. The role I was supposed to want was getting in the way of the role I actually wanted. He didn't quit his job. He didn't make a dramatic move. Over the next year, he restructured his role to focus on developing his team. He started mentoring junior people across the company, not just in his department. Within 2 years, he had transitioned to an internal coaching role that almost didn't exist before he proposed it. Within 3 years, his work felt completely different, not because anything had collapsed and been rebuilt, because he had finally listened to the signal that had been there all along. That is what phase 2 is for. The listening. You don't have to figure anything out cognitively. You don't have to force any answers. You just have to pay attention to what's drawing you, what you keep doing without being told, what energizes you, what you find yourself thinking about when you don't have anything else to think about. The signals are there. They've been there for years. You just need 10 days of quiet attention to start hearing them. You got to continue everything from phase 1 during these next 10 days. The reduced inputs, the twice daily quiet time with the question, the daily physical movement, but you add one thing, a small notebook or a notes app, kept simple. And throughout each day, you jot down things you notice, moments when something draws you, moments when something drains you, people you wanted to spend more time with, topics that kept coming back, tiny preferences that surface when nothing else is competing for your attention. You must not analyze the notes. You must not try to make them into a plan. You just collect them. Over 10 days, the notes accumulate. And at the end of the 10 days, you read them all together. The pattern will become visible, not always dramatically. Sometimes it's a quiet pattern, sometimes it's a loud one. But the pattern is the signal of your direction. It's been there the whole time. The notebook just made it visible. You must trust what the notebook is showing you, even if it's not what you expected, especially if it's not what you expected. The direction your unconscious mind keeps surfacing against the noise of your expectations is usually closer to your real direction than any cognitive exercise will produce. The exercises produce should answers The notebook produces is answers. You want the is answers. You see, this is the part most people get wrong about finding their direction. They reach for tools that produce clean answers, assessments, frameworks, lists of options. But clean answers about direction are usually wrong because direction is something messy and personal that does not fit cleanly into anybody's framework. The notebook is messy. The patterns are messy. The direction that emerges is messy. That mess is the truth. You cannot reach a personal direction through impersonal tools. By day 20, you'll have a sense of what your direction wants to be. Not certain, not committed yet, but you'll have a hypothesis drawn from the patterns the notebook captured. That hypothesis is what you'll work with in phase 3. The hypothesis is enough. You don't need certainty yet. You just need a direction to test. Days 21 through 30. The third phase is about testing the direction, not committing to it forever, just committing to it for 10 days. You pick the direction the notebook surfaced, and for 10 days, you live as if that direction were yours. You see, direction is verified through action, not through thought. You can think about whether a direction is right for you indefinitely, and you'll never know for sure. The only way to know is to take some small action in that direction and notice how it feels. Does it energize you? Does it produce momentum? Does it open more doors than it closes? The actions tell you what your thoughts cannot. Here's the truth. The first 10 days of acting on a direction give you more information than 100 days of thinking about it. You learn things you could not have learned from contemplation. You discover problems you would not have anticipated. You also discover satisfactions you would not have expected. The combination tells you quickly whether this is your direction or not. For these 10 days, you take one small action every single day in the direction the notebook surfaced. Not a big action, a small one. Something concrete, something that moves you slightly in that direction today. Make the call, sign up for the class, have the conversation, write the paragraph. Whatever the smallest meaningful step would be in that direction, you take it today. You got to keep taking small steps every day for 10 days. The steps don't have to be impressive. The smallness is the point. You're testing the direction. You're collecting evidence. You're noticing how the direction feels when you actually start moving in it, instead of just thinking about it. You must resist the urge to plan the whole future during these 10 days. The temptation will be strong. You finally have a direction, and you want to plan everything that follows. Don't. The planning gets in the way of the testing. The testing produces information that the planning would have foreclosed. Trust the small daily action. The plan will become obvious later if the direction is right. Around day 25, you'll start to feel something. If the direction is right, you'll feel an unmistakable shift. Your energy lifts. The work feels meaningful. The small actions don't drain you the way unrelated work usually does. You wake up looking forward to the day's small step. The direction is announcing itself as yours through the way it feels when you're actually in motion. If the direction is wrong, you'll also feel it. The small actions feel forced. The momentum doesn't build. The energy doesn't lift. The direction stays effortful in a way that suggests it's not actually yours. That's valuable information too. It means the notebook surfaced something that wasn't quite right, and you need to look again. But you've now learned that this direction is not yours by testing it, which is much better than concluding it might not be by thinking about it. By day 30, you'll have one of two things. Either you have a direction that's clearly yours, and you have already begun moving in it for 10 days, which means you're not just thinking about it anymore. You've started, or you have evidence that the first hypothesis wasn't right, and you have a clearer sense of what's not your direction, which narrows the next round of listening. Either way, you're not lost the same way you were on day one. The reset has done its work. You've learned to clear the noise. You've learned to listen for the signal. You've learned to test by doing instead of thinking. Those 3 skills, once installed, can be used the rest of your life every time you lose direction again, which you will periodically, because lost direction is a recurring event in adult life. But here's what most people experience after a 30-day reset done with discipline. They feel different, not because they have all the answers, because they have a working relationship with their own signals again. The compass works. They can read it. And the reading produces direction that's specifically theirs, not borrowed from somebody else's expectations. The direction you find through this reset is not the only direction you'll ever have. It's the next direction, the one that's right for this chapter of your life. In 5 years or 10, you might lose direction again. That's normal. You'll know what to do. You'll do this reset again, the same protocol, the same 3 phases, and you'll find the next direction the same way you found this one, by clearing, listening, and testing. You must keep the discipline simple. You got to keep the discipline simple. Don't elaborate it. Don't try to optimize it. You got to accept that. The protocol works because it's quiet and patient. Adding more steps, more techniques, more inputs would reintroduce the noise the protocol was designed to clear. You must trust the simplicity. The simple, slow approach is what produces the real direction. The complicated, fast approach is what produced the lost direction in the first place. You cannot fix lost direction with more of what produced it. You can only fix it with less. Less noise, less force, less trying to figure it out. More space, more listening, more trust in what's already there. The protocol holds you to that every single day for 30 days. You see, that's the whole technology. So here is what I want you to carry with you. Lost direction is one of the most common conditions among adults, and it's also one of the most fixable if you're willing to do the slow, quiet work that actually produces direction instead of the loud, fast work that almost never does. The work is 30 days, 3 phases of 10. Clear the noise. Listen for what's underneath. Test by doing. None of it requires you to figure anything out cognitively. All of it requires you to trust the process and stay with it long enough for the direction to emerge on its own. I am telling you this protocol works, not because it's special, because it does what most people refuse to do. It makes space in a life that has been full of noise for the person's own voice to become audible again. The direction was always there. The noise was just louder. Clear the noise, and the direction starts speaking. And here's the truth. You cannot keep going indefinitely without direction. The cost compounds. Every year of lost direction is a year of dimmed engagement, mounting exhaustion, and lost capacity. You have to understand the math. The 30 days you might spend on this reset are nothing compared to the years you've already spent without direction, hoping it would return on its own. You must start the reset this week, not next month, not when you have more time. This week, day 1 is the day you turn off the inputs. The first 10 days, you do nothing impressive. You just clear the noise. The next 10, you listen. The last 10, you test. By the end, you'll have something you have not had in a long time. A direction that's specifically yours. And once you have it, you'll wonder why you didn't do this years ago. The answer is that years ago, you didn't know about it. Now you do. The cost of starting today is 30 days. The cost of not starting is the rest of your life without direction. The math is not close. Start the reset. The direction is waiting underneath the noise, exactly where it has always been. Every single day of the 30 days does work that adds up. Every single day you turn down the input is a day your own voice gets a little louder. Every single day you sit with the question is a day you build the muscle of listening to yourself. Every single day you take a small action in the tested direction is a day you prove to yourself the direction can become motion again. By day 30, you are not the same person who started on day 1. You are a person with direction. And the direction will carry you from here into the next chapter of your actual life. Not because anything dramatic happened, because you finally took 30 days to listen. The listening was the work. The direction was always there. The next chapter has been waiting on you to do those 30 days, exactly the way they're described, with nothing added and nothing skipped. Do them. Watch what comes. You must give yourself this. The 30 days are short. The cost is small. The return is the rest of your life with direction again. That is the trade. Make it. Start day 1 tomorrow or this evening. Whatever the next clean hour is, that's when you turn down the inputs and begin. The reset has begun the moment you decide to begin it. Everything that follows is just doing what the protocol says, one day at a time, for 30 days.